All right, you guys, welcome back to the Art and Yoga and Wellness podcast. So, this week we're going to talk about something that doesn't really seem, I guess you could say that health related, but it's something that I think we probably spend more energy and time on sometimes than our health. And that is being online, social media, all different online platforms. I've talked in multiple podcasts about boundaries around that, how we utilize it, ways to make sure that our usage and our online presence aligns with our values, whether you're just a consumer of it or you're a business owner. And today I wanted to tackle it from a different lens and angle. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background, then I'm going to introduce our guest. But last week I had a conversation with my husband, short and sweet. It was about needing to start up an Instagram page for a middle school sports team because they didn't have one. And my husband's not on any social media. And so I think he was a little bit in a tailspin and it seemed like this huge undertaking. And I told him, easy, we can do it. I've been doing this for years. We've had social media managers. He has a whole team that manages all aspects of his business online. And I thought to myself, even if you're not a business owner, if you have a nonprofit you work with, or if you have a passion project that you love and want to share, or if your child's elementary sports team needs a Facebook page so that parents can upload pictures and you can put the practice times and news, that might not seem super inviting to a lot of people. But online, especially social media, isn't going anywhere. So how can we equip ourselves, empower us to feel like we can navigate it with a little bit more ease? That is not my expertise at all. But our guest today, one of my very best friends, Meghan, that is her expertise. So welcome to the podcast, Meghan.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. It's funny, like we often have these conversations like church and state, but I feel like they're marrying today. So I'm excited about that.
They are. And what Meghan means by church and state is we have so many different overlaps in our relationships. We do a lot of business undertakings together and contracts and things like that because of her job. And then she's also one of my very best friends. Our daughters are the sweetest of friends. And so we always say church and state. And absolutely today we get to blend the two of those, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Before we dive in, Meghan, and I get into the questions, I do want to give a little bit more of your background. And so I'm just going to read your bio. It's always for me painful when people read my bio because it's just, I don't know, it feels like voyeurism to me. And then I immediately go into imposter syndrome. I'm not putting that on you, but I'm about to read about you. Okay.
No, you took the words directly out of my mouth.
I know. All right. Meghan Smith lives in Murfreesboro, Tennessee with her husband, Jacob, and their two daughters. Meghan has 20 years of professional experience in operations and administration in the field of retail, nonprofit work, small business ownership, and digital marketing. She thrives in organizational tasks, managing a team, providing services with excellence, no matter if the area is at home or in business. That is so true about her. Meghan is the operations director at Borough Business Labs, a digital marketing agency in Murfreesboro. Borough Business Labs works with over 300 local businesses that want to prioritize strong digital presence across all platforms, including local directories, reputation management, websites, social media, email marketing, paid ads, and SEO. The team at Borough Business Labs strives to always do the right thing, be humble and honest, and do great work while having fun. Through the agency, Meghan also has the opportunity to host her podcast, Ladies of the Lab. This is a platform that focuses on women business owners, women in leadership in the community. Ladies of the Lab hosts quarterly networking events where local ladies in leadership can get together, share experiences, and just have a good time. In her free time, Meghan leads worship at her church, loves running, enjoys quality time at home with her family, and watches any and all sports. Again, welcome to the podcast, Meghan Smith.
I'm really excited. This is going to be a good one.
It's going to be such a good one. And obviously, I just mentioned her podcast, but her podcast is so great. She does a really good job of interviewing, but also just fun. It's so much fun to listen to. And it almost tricks you into learning a little bit because she does such a good job of being inviting and you get to see all aspects of her personality. So check out her podcast if you haven't. We even have an episode on there together. I think we talked about sports.
It was weird because we don't normally talk about sports like on a personal level.
Never, because I don't care. I don't care. And she cares so deeply about sports. Did we talk about Taylor Swift on that one too?
I don't remember. Honestly, it's like a fever dream. We talked about a lot of things. It went in directions we weren't necessarily prepared for.
Yeah.
But
I do want to say on record with you, because I don't think I've said this to you, because I just decided it a couple weeks ago. I was wrong about her and her boyfriend.
maybe that's what we were talking about. Yeah.
I think
I mean, it could have been a marketing tactic. Who knows? They're both winning. That's all that matters.
I think that there's feelings there.
They're real cute.
It seems tender. I'm here for it. She deserves.
Was it Stagecoach that they were at? They were at one of those music festivals and they were so cute together.
They were. I'm here for it. We love love.
Yeah, we do.
We love love. Okay. So we're going to dive in. We're not going to force my pop culture. It's on y'all another time, another place. But we're going to start talking about social media. So this is your expertise, Megan. I sent you over a form, kind of covered like what I hope to get out of the podcast, but also asked you what you felt like were the most important things for our listeners to walk away with. And so one thing that I do want to start with is if you could just go over, for people who don't know, what are the main areas of online presence? And then we can go through maybe what are the most appropriate areas for maybe each type of need, like business, influencer, nonprofit, but where are the main places people might be online?
Sure. So this gives me an opportunity to talk about what I talk about all the time. And I always tell people I'm practical if I'm nothing. And so if I were to come to you for yoga and you're like, and I was like, I want to do a headstand, I want to stand on my head, you'd be like, hold the reins back. Let's start with some downward dog and do some stretching. We'll get there. And so what I have the opportunity to do is to work with businesses specifically on of importance and a matter of principle. So much of digital marketing and platforms is about principle, about what your motivation is, what your goals are. And so to answer your question, the main platforms that we focus on are local directories, which is your Google business profile if you're a business. And so that's really specifically for a locally owned business or a place that has a brick and mortar address or offers a service-based business in a service area. So that's number one if you're in business. Two, we talked about reputation management. Getting reviews is such a huge part of your business. Again, it doesn't relate necessarily to the nonprofits and the passion projects and the awareness and social aspect of digital presence, but it is very important if you're providing a product or service. So we work heavily with people to make sure that, if I'm going to buy something on Amazon and there's no reviews, it's going to feel a little sketchy to me. So translates to a lot of buyers locally, specifically when they're making their decisions. Website is a 24/7 hub to educate people on the services that you offer or what your passion is. And they're searching the internet in the middle of the night, maybe nursing their baby, and they can't pick up the phone and call you, but they can go to your website. They can read about you. They can understand your brand. They can kind of get an idea your mission is from your website. It's very important to have one that communicates well, but that's also functioning properly and that technically serves your purposes so that you maintain users that you acquire through your website. Social media is I always say it's the most sexy of them all because
it is.
Maybe it's because it's so social and it's such a moment to get a peek into what people like. It satisfies the nosy in us to kind of see what's going on and to stay up on things and to, with my friends, I want to know what they did today. So oftentimes through social media, I can see that there. Again, as far as a matter of principle is concerned, that the social media platforms is the second place often that people go to check you out and get some understanding about who you are if they haven't Googled you. And if you don't have a presence there and they can't get a feel for your vibe or your personality or what your values are, they're not going to really connect with you. So it's so important to have presence there, but also consistency. Email marketing is, and again, these are in order of importance, but we are all still doing business in our email. We are all still staying in touch with our family members and our friends through email. I know that I can pull up my email right now and I will have about 10 offers from the same place. And I can
Mhm.
go and grab that email and go use that offer at any given time. We're all working from our inbox. So it's about remaining top of mind in email and also connecting with people in a longer form and in a form maybe that's more accessible for some people than social media, more comfortable for people than social media. So email marketing, I feel like, is the silent giant because it's so impactful. And you
Mhm.
don't own your social media followers, but you do own your email list.
I'm so glad you said that because that is something, and obviously this probably doesn't apply if it's like a soccer team situation, and you're just trying to do news updates on that. But even if it's, a nonprofit you're passionate about and you want to get that word out and you want to keep people updated on it, you don't own your social media. And I started art and yoga before Instagram was a thing. And so we got on Facebook, we had a Facebook business profile, but it was so secondary. We immediately started an email list because that was how you communicated with people. And in the day and age of social media, I've seen people get locked out of their accounts. I've seen people get hacked. And obviously there's value there. And we'll talk about, what social media can do for you. But at the end of the day, you don't own it. I own my email list. And I mean, for me, most of my communication with clients and the most depth I get is still through email.
Yeah.
It's still through my
Yeah.
email list.
And it crosses a lot of demographics and ages.
Mhm.
And again, everybody has an email. Everybody has an email.
They
So
do.
oftentimes that's one that goes without, you know, proper use or using it to its fullest capacity. Ads is fun to talk about because it's the most satisfying. It's not really applicable to soccer teams and staying in touch or trying to get, people to come to your nonprofit event. But
Yeah.
if you're a small business, that's where the dopamine hit comes because you will get phone calls.
Yeah.
And they're also a bear. One thing that we say is if your goal as a business owner or to create awareness around your brand is to grow your Instagram or your Facebook following, then you couple it with social media ads. Because if you run the right ad campaign and you're doing the other very strategic things on social media, it will wildly increase the amount of people that are seeing your content. So from a strategic standpoint, we can get in that more later, but Facebook ads and social media ads coupled with a really solid strategic social media plan to get visibility and brand awareness is a home run. And then SEO, this is a quick like debunk. A lot of people can just let's get rolling with some SEO. And
We're about to go to MIT with Meghan and talk and I'm kidding.
well, no, but that's where you would be coming to, or I would be coming to you asking to do a headstand, and I've never ever practiced yoga. You
Right.
would have to tell me that I was a little bit naive in my request. We'll get there when we get there, but we've got to do all of these practical things first. So that was the long version of the types of platforms. But when I talk to specifically business owners, or anybody really, I always say, if I were a financial planner and you were to come to me and say, hey, let's talk about how to prepare for the future with my finances. And I said, okay, let's take all of your money and put it in McDonald's stock. I would be a really bad financial advisor. And so what we encourage people to do is try to have presence and consistency in each area to see what works best for you based on what your goals are. And it's going to be different from a business to nonprofit to neighborhood, Facebook awareness page or email marketing campaign. It's just different. And so we encourage people to try to have presence in each area for sure.
So, a couple things that I want to ask you, piggybacking off of that. So, depending on what type of, and I'm air quoting business, whether it's the kids' soccer team and you just want to have community around it, get messaging out, information, have a common place for people to see photos and recap, or it's a nonprofit and it's a passion project, but that has a message to get out, or it's a brick and mortar. You just mentioned having a bit of a variety of platforms and where you're at online. how does somebody know where to start on those? And instead of feeling that overwhelm of like, I've got to platform hop and be everywhere,
Yeah.
depending on those three categories that I just gave you. That way everybody kind of feels like this could be applicable to them. In each of those categories, where would be like the best, maybe two places to start?
Sure. So I'll speak to, I work with local businesses, but we also work with nonprofits. So I'll speak to those two first.
Okay.
If you're a local business and you're providing a service, you want to have presence on local directories. You want to be getting reviews. If you're not doing that, you're missing a very practical opportunity. And I always like to tell people that's free to you. I don't have to do that, but time is money. And if you're spending your time doing something you're not the expert in, you're wasting that time that you could be making money. And so I always encourage small businesses to delegate these responsibilities to a team that knows what they're doing so that they can spend their time and their expertise making money. So local directories and getting reviews is non-negotiable. It's almost like I don't want to entertain anybody's conversations if they're not willing to kind of do those practical things.
Yeah.
It's like diet and exercise of digital marketing. It's not fun, but you got to do it if you want to see the results. And if you want, I always go back to it's about principle. It's not necessarily even about growing a following or making a sale. It's about principle. If I go to you to roof my house and you don't have the tools to roof my house, I'm going to wonder if you know what you're doing because you don't have the tools. It's a matter of principle that you're up on your game, that you're the expert in the field, that you're doing this, that, and the other in order to be the authority in that.
Yeah.
So it's not sexy, but it is necessary. So as a local business, I would for sure say local directories, getting reviews, and having a website. If you don't have a website, I don't know if you're real or not, honestly.
Can I ask you a question really quick about local directories? Because again, like not everybody knows these things. When you say local directories, we're talking about Google Business, Yelp review. What are the other, if any?
The big heavy hitters, Google's king and nothing else really matters. So, and you can set up a Google business profile, but Google likes to get credibility sources from other data resources. And so Yelp, even though Yelp is dumb, Yelp is one of them. Bing, who uses Bing anymore? But Bing,
we're still binging out there?
right?
Oh.
And then Apple Maps is another big one. So there's lots of more obscure, but those are the heavy hitters.
I've literally never heard of Apple Maps. I didn't know that was even a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So those.
You wouldn't know because you don't do this every day.
Why would I know? Okay. So we've got the local directories. You gave the ones for people who didn't know, including me. Okay. And then websites. So again, let's say I'm a nonprofit or I'm a business. What are some things, not talking about the SEO, like back end side, talking about that, but what are some main things? Like if you were to go to my website and whether I'm doing yoga classes and giving all the money to a miniature cow farm, or it is, the bread and butter of my family, what are some things if you went to Arden Yoga's website that you expect to see as like a good functioning website?
I would say this kind of cross translates, and I'll get into from here a little bit more about the nonprofits since I do serve them as well. If you're a business, I need to know how I can do business with you, and that needs to be the first thing that I can see. So this is free advice. The top right-hand side of your website should have a clear call to action. I should be able to hit your website and know exactly how to book with you now, or get a free estimate, or a call now, something like that should be at the top. If I'm a nonprofit, your mission and your goal is to create awareness around what you're passionate about, but it is also to get donations. So there should be a donate button at the top right-hand corner. There should be no question, and it should be the least amount of clicks possible to make a donation, because 9 times out of 10, aside from maybe a little bit of light reading, people are only wanting to know how to contact you, how to book an appointment with you, or how to give you money.
Okay. I'm just sitting here racking my brain. I want to go to my website so badly right now.
But as far as like the nonprofit side of things, if you're not telling your story and you're not creating visibility around your story and what the passion is and what the heart is behind your mission, you're really missing an opportunity to engage someone that might not necessarily resonate with what your nonprofit name is. But if they understand the story and they've had an opportunity to read that or see that in action, then if you've missed that opportunity, you've missed an opportunity to grab donations from that. And so I think for them, a website is a huge opportunity to create testimonials and to tell the story. I think email marketing is a powerful, powerful tool for nonprofits because they're able to communicate what they're involved in, the types of missions or people that they're serving or the impact that they've had on the community. But it is always an opportunity to have that donate now button in your email newsletter. Same with, we work with some subscription based services. They should have an opportunity at all times to connect with the newest thing that you're offering. So email marketing is super powerful to stay top of mind, to continue to create visibility and doing that in a platform or on a platform that people are involved in all the time.
Okay. I just have to say this, and I love having a conversation about online presence. And in the past 7 minutes, we haven't mentioned social media because I think social media has just taken over, and in a good way. Like we can crap on social media, we can glorify social media and go both ways. But I think so many people feel so overwhelmed because it just doesn't align with who they are. They don't want to show their house. They don't want to be on their phone doing story. I'm like that. I mean, Meghan knows me inside and out, and that's something that I really struggle with. But for me, it's such a breath of fresh air and such a really encouraging reminder that these are foundational pieces of your nonprofit or your business. And you didn't mention social media yet. I know that that's a part, and I know that that's important, but you don't have to cross over any of your personal boundaries or values and showing too much of your life or doing something that doesn't feel authentic to you to have a presence online. These are two great places to start and put some time and energy into. So I just want to shout that from the rooftop for everybody.
And I do think that going back to what I said before, like the financial advisor analogy, you have to try what works. You have to try different things to figure out what works best for you. But I think also I'm passionate about social media and I'm passionate when I work with business owners. I don't necessarily make my decisions based on words on a website or words that you've sent me in an email or even reviews. I sometimes don't even want to get the best at this, that, or the other, but I might make a connection with your personality and something that you say on social media or in short form video marketing, be that TikTok or YouTube shorts or whatever. Something you might say might resonate with me and it might make me feel safer to do business with you, or it might trigger an emotion in me or some sort of empathy in me to want to give to your nonprofit. So connection with a human being is so important. And so I always tell people it's a fast moving train and you've got to get on it. And we're not always going to be comfortable, but we can also maintain boundaries and we can decide what our goals are on social media, because there's two very different directions that you can go with social media. And I think one of them honors people's boundaries if they don't want to get in over their head. And then another one can take you to the moon if you want to. It just requires work and time.
There's like a toddler temper tantrum in my head right now. I'm like, I don't like what you just said because I don't, but I do know it's true because me and my husband have two different businesses. And so we have two different ways that we do social media because we're two very different businesses and the way our brands work but I do have some questions that before you said that I was going to ask you about reputation and branding. But before we move into that, I do want to ask, because again, this is kind of a facet of online presence that's not as big, I guess, as the nonprofit and business side. But what if you are, and I keep going to soccer team, guys, just because that's honestly, like we've been dealing with this past couple of weeks is just
Yeah.
soccer and fall sports and stuff, but it can be anything. It could be, whatever with your kid's school or something. But let's say it is just that soccer team or that club sport or the bake sale or your kid's elementary school asked you to be in charge of online presence for the fall festival. What if it's something like that and it's not a non-profit, it's not a business, but it's something that needs to be online for awareness and communication? What
Mhm.
would you say could be or should be maybe a focus of a couple places to start with that?
Without question, a Facebook group is
Okay.
key. And I think that that's a way to regulate the amount of exposure and to create safety for people that wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable getting on some sort of platform or forum, what have you. I think it's also pretty easy to navigate.
Mhm.
And I would say there, as far as the presence is concerned, consistency is key. So somebody to be responsible for maintaining and keeping it updated and posting the photos and things like that, because it's more of an information hub. It might be a little bit social, but it's
Mhm.
more of an information hub at that
Okay.
point. And the way to keep that in the easiest, most low maintenance, keep that consistent would be a Facebook group, in my personal opinion. You could also do email marketing, just because it really just depends on. I would do both. I would do both because some people don't have Facebook even. So with emails, you can set up campaigns, you can schedule them. It doesn't have to be like I have to be on my computer all the time.
Right.
Be very strategic in the planning around that and schedule out emails for reminders or signups or here's all the pictures and the videos from our event this week or what have you. So honestly, there's no tried and true method. I think it most of the time though, when you're talking about the technicality of things,
Mhm.
Facebook and email seem the least stressful outside of some sort of like online, you know, canned web page that allows you to put events and signups and news feed and things like that. So if you're wanting to keep it simple, I would just do a Facebook group or use email marketing and schedule that stuff out.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. I have so many, I feel like I have so many things to do. Just like, I mean, just from this conversation alone, my wheels are turning and I'm like, yeah, I need to do this. I need to brush up on that. So segueing into, I wanted to kind of segue to the social media aspect a little bit because I
Yeah.
wanted to go heavy on the other stuff. I did not want to start with social media. But before that, maybe this could be what bridges kind of the gap between what we've been talking about in social media. You mentioned in the very beginning of a lot of the things that you guys work with clients on, and you mentioned in that reputation when you were talking about reviews. If you could maybe differentiate and clarify, if there is one, I don't know, but the difference between online reputation and brand. So,
Yeah.
if those are two different things, what are the commonalities? How are those different? Especially because I've really tried to, one of our focuses in our time together in conversation is the distinguishing between, like, if you're not on social media, like my husband, and you're not getting on there, but you have a business, what's the difference between the reputation aspect and then brand?
So for me, like, know, and trust is what we're trying to acquire in order to level up our reputation. So, if let's say I have offered you a service, you like me, you know me, you trust me, I'm going to require you or ask that you would share that with your friends, with your family members, share it on an online platform so that if I'm saying, hey, I'm a likable person, I'm honest, I'm trustworthy, I'm going to show up on time and do it, somebody has the proof is in the pudding. So somebody has to prove that that's your reputation. And so in a practical sense of the form, we ask that people recruit those reviews on things like Facebook or on Google. And then what we use is social media as a platform to post those testimonials consistently so that their reputation is known there. And I think about brand, I think about mission, I think about the feeling that is associated with you when I connect with your aesthetic or with the things that you're consistently posting on. It's about knowing who you are, what your goals are, what your motivation is, and the type of service that you want to offer, or the type of connection that you want to make, and what motivates that, how I feel when I associate. So for me, it's very different. And it's one of these weird, like, inception things in my brain, because one has to do with like the facts about a service that we offer, and also the way the brand part feels is more of the feeling and the experience that I have when I'm exposed to you or to your content.
Okay. So the online the reputation is more like the left side of the reptilian brain. It's the facts. The right side is a little bit more emotional. It's a little bit more left to like how somebody interprets it.
Yeah, and I think that specifically with, if we're talking about, if we're going to segue into social media is, there's two different ways to engage there. And for me, when I talk to businesses, it's a tool, and it is a necessary tool that we have to use. You can use it for consistency and as a portfolio and to have presence and as a matter of principle, or you can use it as a means to engage and be social and connect and create an experience that people want to continue to come back and have. When I talk about branding, I talk about the experience that's been created for me that keeps me coming back for more. It's like home for me at that point. So I go to the place where I exercise because of the feeling that's associated every single time that I go and have that experience.
Yeah.
And they are true to who they say that they are. And I feel that every single time that I go. I know exactly what I get when I show up there. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you can use social media as a principle and as a means to create presence and visibility and to take up real estate online. Because ultimately, if I'm making my buying decisions, I'm going to check and see if you're on Google and see what your reputation is like. But I'm also going to see if you have a presence on social media, because that makes you real to me at the end of the day. Either real because you're engaging, or real because you've actually consistently posted content. And so I think social media is a tool, and you have to decide what your goals are when you are using that tool. Because let's be honest, nobody's looking at a plumber's Instagram to get some type of feeling from it. Exactly. But as a matter of principle, they need to post there so that people can see that they're active and they're living and that they're breathing and that they're a successful business. Yeah. So the way that they would approach social media would be very different than the way that you might, in order to grow your brand for your business and to create a presence that's safe and that's inviting and that's warm and that's inspiring. That's the brand. That's the engagement. That's the social. That's the connection. So I think it really just depends on what your goals are when you talk about social media.
Speaking of social media, because social media is such a, honestly, broad term. I think when I think of social media, I immediately just go to the ones that I like to use. But we've got Twitter, formerly known Twitter. It's X now, which I don't love that rebrand.
It's irrelevant. In my personal opinion, it's irrelevant.
Well, we have that one. We have, what is it? Threads that Instagram came out with. Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. I'm a Pinterest girl. I spend more time on Pinterest than anything. TikTok. There's and I don't know if YouTube really counts, but YouTube and YouTube Shorts. So I want to make sure that, because I think of Facebook and Instagram, that I'm not assuming what our listeners are thinking of when I say social media. So out of all of those platforms, like, as somebody who helps businesses and nonprofits, out of all the ones I named, which ones, in your professional opinion, are the most relevant?
For sure, Facebook and Instagram. But if we're getting into the technical aspect of things, you can acquire users or people you can acquire attention from. We want you to get it from as many platforms as possible. So as long as you're willing to embark on a journey with a platform and consistently do that, which you can do through scheduling apps and things like that. No real estate is bad real estate. The more real estate, the better. But as far as like the type of people that we serve, the type of businesses that we serve, for the goals that we set before them, Facebook and Instagram, specifically for small businesses, nonprofits, passion projects, people that are not on like a national level, Facebook and Instagram would be what I would consider to be the bread and butter of social media presence. LinkedIn's really popular though.
Oh, I forgot about LinkedIn. I feel like LinkedIn has kind of made a comeback.
It's again, I think it's a matter of personal preference. But if you're able to schedule, because a lot of the schedulers are for multiple platforms, and you have an account through that, it does not hurt. But it's a matter of practice and consistency instead of just like I created this and then I didn't do anything with it, because then people are like, are they dead? Like, are they still in business? And you don't have to create that type of questioning.
I'm laughing because I am that person. I'm like the ghost of all social media platforms. Like, I'll go hard for like one day and then I go back to my online introvertedness. And then, so you're probably like, she has closed and opened up shop on, like, Google might say that we're still closed from COVID. I don't know. So I need to get back. So I'm laughing. So you mentioned real estate, because I have to, and this is not me challenging you, this is me asking because there's so much conflicting information out there. You said like all real estate is good real estate, but I've also heard people say that customers, followers don't platform hop a lot. So for somebody who's like, okay, well, you just said that all real estate's good real estate, but people don't typically platform hop. Is that where one of the planning softwares that publishes and distributes for you comes in?
This is getting really nerdy. I love that you asked.
I am a nerd. You know that. That's who I am at my core, is a big nerd.
When we look at user acquisition, and what that means is who sees you, whose attention do you have? We look at 3 different places. We look at website traffic, we look at social media traffic, and we look at just basic search engine, like people searching.
Okay.
And if you are lacking or lagging in any of those 3 areas, the layman's terms of this is Google is king. And so the more information you can give Google to index with your name, your product, and your service area, the better, because it's a robot. It just wants to index different places where your data is. Okay. And so, no, people do not platform hop. I am in 100% agreement, but it's a matter of principle at that point. Like, it's the same with people coming to me and they're like, would you recommend using print advertising or a billboard? And I'm like, there are still people that make calls based on a billboard or because they get a postcard in the mail. Does it mean that I only make my buying decisions if I get a postcard in the mail? Absolutely not. Yeah. It's just more exposure. It's more things in the digital world for Google to index with your name on it, which makes you more searchable if somebody's Googling, which is typically outside of TikTok, which is weird. It's the biggest search engine. That's how people are finding things. And so it's just kind of nerdy, because ultimately it's having your name and your information consistently across all platforms that make you more favorable when people are searching for your service or business.
I mean, that was helpful to me. We won't go down that road anymore, just because I know that's probably way nerdier than people want to go in this. But I do love talking about all of that, because the reality of it, guys, is like, even going back to the simplicity of the soccer team, nobody's going to know that we're having open like gym hours unless it's somewhere. And so my business, like, I've been in business for going on 12 or 13 years, and I've seen how much it's changed, but I've also seen that I'm still on Google, and that my email list never fails me. And if all of the social media platforms went down today, I would still be able to get in touch with 100% of my faithful clients. And so the reason I love talking about this is because I've seen all of these shifts, but then I've also seen like the tried and true that has served my business well. And at the end of the day, guys, like, my business is not a passion project. It's what feeds my family. Like, I have to do these things. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a business. And even with the nonprofits, like, if you want that mission project and that service to your community to work, there needs to be a donate button on the website, or people can't give you funds to keep it going. And so this stuff does matter, and online is not going anywhere. Like, it works. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. That was a rant.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think specifically with social media, I think that you have to decide for you what path you're taking. Are you taking the, I don't want to pay my taxes, but I have to pay my taxes in order to be in business.
Yeah.
So I'm going to consistently post on social media as a matter of principle, or do I just really enjoy being on social media? Do I really enjoy engagement? Because it can be used as a tool for both, and you can put strategy behind it. You can put plans in place to grow that presence. But I think you have to decide what your motive is. And at the end of the day, that will form a practice within that platform, because you might not be comfortable with it, but you're going to have to pay your taxes in order to stay in business. And so, or you're going to have to keep your team informed if you want to be organized, or if you want to keep people posted on what's coming down the pike. And so it's you just have to decide what your goals are, what your motives are for using the platform.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Okay, I know you have to jump off like right now. And we covered so much. There's things that Meghan mentioned that we're going to put in the show notes. Meghan, for free resources, and this will be in the show notes, but what are for somebody who's like, okay, I want to take some of these things that you mentioned and I want to implement them, but I'm in no place or I'm not ready to maybe work with an agency, but I would like some tools so I can beef things up a little bit. What are your favorite top 3 just free tools that are pretty user friendly that people could use to just maybe take it up a notch?
Canva for sure. Canva is the world is on the back of Canva.
100%.
There are so many things that you can do there. I mean, just I'm a mom, and so if I wanted to make a calendar for meals this week, I could get on Canva and make.
Yeah.
If I wanted to make a snack sign up sheet for soccer, I could use Canva. There's a free version of that. There's also a pro version of that. So I would just encourage anybody that has a creative side to them, that is wanting to make resources for their nonprofit, make resources for their soccer team, make resources for their business or social media. Canva is. You got to get on board. I do like Publer. I'm not 100% sure if it's a free resource, but that's a scheduler that you can use for social media posts. So if I'm a small business and, make the bread and sell the bread, then I get some help with some scheduling. And so it's a matter of, time management. I'm going to spend these 3 hours batching these 12 posts for this month, and then I'm going to schedule them, and then I don't have to think about them. So it is like hiring a lovely assistant.
Okay.
And then the third, what was I going to say? Edit this.
You're going to say Google business profiles are free because I have our notes in front of me.
Number 3 specifically will be for a local small business. It is to get involved with a Google business profile. It's free. She's a little moody. So if you can figure her out, if we're talking about practical and easy and something anybody can do, it is set up a Google business profile if you have a brick and mortar or a service-based business, and ask people for reviews. And that goes a really long way, just as far as credibility and visibility is concerned on that platform.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Last question so we can keep it light. What is your, just for personal use? This has nothing to do with your professional hat. What's your favorite social media platform to hang out on?
TikTok.
I know the answer. I knew the answer, and I know.
So, I love it too much. I love it so much. It's fun for me, and I have very much work mode, and I have very much fun mode. And I've learned a lot of things. Like, I organized my daggone refrigerator this weekend because of somebody I saw on TikTok and the stuff that they were using. So from a marketing aspect, these people that have Amazon stores that are making bank and selling out products on Amazon because they're TikTok, they're geniuses. They're making money.
I'm not on TikTok at all. It's just.
But it's not.
Yeah.
There are businesses that could advance their life with TikTok, but that's certainly not for everybody. So for sure, personal TikTok, I didn't even have to think about it.
Oh gosh. Mine is Pinterest, I think. Isn't that weird? You're TikTok, I'm Pinterest, but I can also
come on board with Pinterest.
I mean, it's just I'm an aesthetic girl, and TikTok to me is not aesthetic at all. It really throws me into a tailspin. So I deleted it. I had it for 2 seconds because I think I thought I needed to have it for business, then I got rid of it. Okay, I know you got to go, Megan. Thank you so much. That was such a inviting, but like deep and wide view of all of the possibilities of online usage and marketing and social media, but in really good chunked out bite-sized pieces that for me, I can't speak for the listeners, but I think they'll be in agreement that felt applicable and like we can do something with that and we could literally turn the podcast off and go and add this in like right now and it could be helpful. And that was what I wanted for our time together. And I knew you would deliver, but thank you. Yeah.
I'll do anything for you.
I will do anything for you. Okay, you guys, where, Megan, can everybody find you if they want to? We'll have all this in the show notes, but what are the best places to connect with you, to follow you, kind of see more of what we've talked about today if they just wanted to follow along?
Borough Business Lab, it's at Borough Business Lab on Instagram, and then boroughbusinesslab.com. That will give you a great connection to all the different platforms so that you can stay informed about what we do as far as digital marketing is concerned. And you can also get to the podcast website from there.
Go listen to the podcast if you want to spend more time with Megan.
So that was a fun one.
If you really want to see what shenanigans, I mean, like how it's really like what it's like to hang out with us, just go listen to that podcast.
Yes.
All right. I love you so, so much. Thank you for taking the time to do this. It was so valuable. And we'll have to do another one maybe at the end of the summer, like a getting back to school and life, and maybe get some listener questions and do a part 2 because there was so much more that I wanted to cover, but we got to respect our time. So everybody, Megan Smith, Borough Business Labs, Ladies of the Lab podcast. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.